welcome to the Knitting Eillets podcast. For the new viewers, I'm Saskia, a 35-year-old knitter from Switzerland. And for those who came back to my second video and now to my third, welcome back. I'm very happy to talk to you again. I was overwhelmed with how many views my last video got. Like over 700 views or something. It was crazy. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw it. So thank you very much for watching my video. And also my first video got a lot more views, I think, because of the second one. Some went back and watched the first one, so I was just overwhelmed with the views they got. And thank you very much again. And if you like my videos, please hit the like button, and if you want to subscribe to my channel. This episode may be a shorter one. I have to admit that I lost a bit my knitting mojo during the summer weeks, the last few ones. It was very autumnal weather. I was just tired, and I was in midst of preparing for the new school year, which started today, Monday, 14th of August. The weather was rainy, cold. It was not very summery and nice weather. So yeah, not very much knitting mojo, as I had all summer projects on my needles. And yeah, I just kept knitting a little bit, but not too much. So this will be a bit of a shorter podcast. Additionally to this loss of knitting mojo, I almost cut off my fingertip of my left ring finger. I managed to do so whilst cutting or trying to cut a zucchini from my garden, which seems to be a lot harder than the ones you buy at store. Yeah, we had to rush to emergency and get it back glued on because the cut was very nicely with a very sharp knife. So bit of luck there, and it's now grown back on to my finger, and it's normal. But I had a huge bandage. They kind of bandaged my whole finger in the hospital. I don't know why. So for a few days I couldn't knit because the thread would keep getting stuck on the bandage. And yeah, when I could change the bandage, I just made it shorter, like above my knuckle, I think. Yeah, above my knuckle, so I could knit then. That is, if the tip wouldn't hurt too much. So a little bit clumsy me there, but it's all back to normal. You can't see anything. It feels almost normal again, so everything's fine. I'm very happy about that. Today is very hot. It's 32 degrees outside and very humid. And yeah, you can't it's no wind, but suddenly there's a heavy rain, and it's a bit strange weather, to be honest. And I think you just saw a little flash of my notes there. I went back to having notes beside me because the last podcast I tried to do without any notes, and it was a bit of a pain to cut it, to be honest. I had so many ams and stuff in there I had to cut out because I was constantly thinking about what I want to say. So I wanted to go back to the safer version and yeah, make it a bit more comfortable for me cutting and for you watching it. So that's why I'm having my notes here to keep track of what I want to say. I'm not wearing any knitwear today. As you can see, it's 32 degrees. It's way too hot to wear anything, to be honest. I'm wearing a silk dress, which is very nice to wear. Just very airy and light, and silk is just so nice. I think it's made from an old sari once, and I bought it at a town market somewhere in Provence some years ago, so it's quite old, but I still love it. And when it's a hot summer day, it's my favorite thing to wear. let's go to the two finished objects I have, which will not be a big surprise if you see my last podcast. And it's two small projects. It's my two pair of socks I was knitting the last time. So first I managed to finish the sock with a really annoying yarn I told you about. They don't feel too nice. I will wash them, they are not washed yet, so I hope they will soften up a lot during the wash. But yeah, they're fine. If I can't wear them on my bare feet, I will wear them with a small sock underneath. No trouble there. I like the pattern, I like the colors, I like how they're striped. I didn't look or pay attention to match them. I sometimes like if two socks are like, you know, you can see they belong together, but they're not exactly the same. I sometimes really like that. And yeah, I did this with those pair. I just cut off the end of the first sock and just started knitting the second one with the same end, basically. So I didn't see if the pattern is going to be repeated exactly the same. They're finished. They fit very well. I tried them on quickly during the autumn day. It was okay then. Now it's hot. I really don't like touching them. Then to my second pair of socks, which is the second finished object, and they are also the second pair of watermelon socks. I had this wonderful Regia Tutti Frutti watermelon yarn, and as you might know by now if you follow me on Instagram, I love watermelon. I also have a PJs, I don't know, a pyjama with watermelon on it, so I love to eat it. I love the colors. It's just my summer fruit. They were also entered at the strawberry shortcake make-along from My Little Drops of Wonderful. I posted them there and participated in the make-along of Ali. Is she called Ali? Oh, I'm sorry if you're watching. I'm very bad with names. Little Drops of Wonderful is the channel name, and I really love watching the channel. She's just gorgeous. She's so cute, and she's a wonderful knitter and crocheter. So I participated in that make-along, and I think it's still running. Check out her channel. She will tell you about it. Yeah, I just love them, and here I did watch or try to start at the same point in the yarn. So you see I didn't quite manage in the beginning. Here I have one stripe, and here here I have two rows of the red, and here is only one row of the red. So I didn't manage quite to get it, but afterwards, surprisingly, they match up very, very nicely. Of course, where the heel is, there's a little bit of disturbance, but at the top, I managed to match them again. I don't know how this worked because the heels are different. They're not all the same with the striping, the self-striping yarn, but I managed to get the top matching again. I really love those. This contrast yarn was a very old sock yarn. I think it's a sock yarn. I burnt it a bit, and I think it has some acrylic in it, maybe 50-50 wool acrylic, not sure. It's a very old yarn I got from my grandma, and I just realized it matches. It's really a perfect match, almost, to the yarn that was already, to the green that was already in the sock. So really happy with those, and looking forward to wearing these during autumn and winter and have a bit of summer back then. So on to my whips. I'm still knitting on my lily leaf top. I found the Knitting Mojo again to knit on it when it got warmer. during the weeks where it was very autumnal, I just didn't feel like knitting on a summer top. I don't know. I was longing to cast on some jumper or so, which you will see I did, but the heat came back, summer came back, and my knitting mojo for the summer top came back. So again, one more time, I promise I will try to figure out how to insert the picture thingies here in the video, but haven't found it out yet. So Lily Leaf Top by Lene Tøsti. Very nice pattern, my most complicated lace I've knitted so far. I had to unravel half of it because I made a mistake at one point and I didn't realize it until like 8 rows later. Here it is so far. Let me see, it's a bit of a mess here with the knitting needles and the cables. It's the back. So I have it. So I finished the yoke, I separated the sleeves, and I'm in the midst of knitting the body. Why is it curling up like this? So better. I'm almost there. I think there are only like 3-4 centimeters of body ribbing missing, and then there comes the rib part with this little eyelet round before it. So there's again a little bit of lace pattern and a nice ending, and yeah, it's not far to go yet. So I'm confident I will finish this before autumn. It fits very nicely. I tried it on several times already to see how long I had to go for the underarm. It is the rainbow bamboo. Oh gee, still having trouble with the left and right on the camera. So, no, yeah, here. 60% bamboo viscose, 40% cotton. So when I'm knitting with cotton viscose, I always tend to go even a bit snugger because my experience is it almost stays the same and it gets wider a bit when you wear it. So it loosens up a bit with wearing, and when you wash it, it goes back to normal or to how you knit it at the beginning. So I want this to fit quite nicely, and I made some changes on the side. I felt it was getting a bit loose if I left it with a 3-1 ribbing pattern all over. So I decreased under the arm. I decreased this 1-3 part at the bust. I left it, and after the bust I decreased it to 1 row. So I have, in the pattern I have 3 right, 1 left, 1 right, 1 left, 3 right, and then it goes back to the pattern 3-1. And I did this on both sides just to give it a bit of a waist shaping. And I'm quite happy I did it, because I think otherwise it would have been quite loose fitting. I do have a very tiny waist, so and a very long one, so it tends to like being looking baggy, even if it's not really. So I almost always do waist shaping to my knitted garments. Yeah, I love the color, I love the pattern, I love how it suits or fits me, not suits me, fits me. And this was the best, so far, the best way I've learned how to cast on the stitches for the underarm. They are really neat and tight, and my underarm stitches before were always a little bit loose and uneven, and I always had to kind of, when I picked up the underarm stitches for the sleeve, I had to go underneath the new stitches and take one of the older ones to kind of hide the holes and not so nice part. And this is really nice, and I think I will keep this way of casting on underarm stitches for other projects. The pattern is really lovely. It's very easy to follow, it's nicely written, so I can only recommend this pattern by Lene Tøsti. Tøsti, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, I'm sorry. But it's a lovely pattern, and I'm very sure I might do another one of her patterns next year in summer, because she has a lot of gorgeous lace yoke patterns, and I just love how this fits. It's looking great. This is also something I could wear on a warm autumn day because of the colors. Normally my summer colors are very different in my wardrobe from my autumn and winter colors. I have a lot of earthy, autumnal, warm colors in my autumn, winter and springy wardrobe. And in summer, somehow, I like bright colors. I realized last year when there was this really warm autumn, I was like in an autumnal mood, but it was too warm for my autumnal clothes. So I went back to my summer clothes in autumn, and I was not in the mood for those colors. So I think this might be a perfect combination, like a summer top with an autumnal color, to have a bit of this, the possibility to wear how I feel. I always dress how I feel. I don't care about fashion or anything, I just dress how I like it. I casted on my Abercairn yarn, which I showed to you in my last podcast. I purchased this in Edinburgh in Scotland in the Cathy's Knit shop, sorry. And it's the Abercairn yarns, 55% superwash blue-faced Leicester and 45% silk. So a very soft and nice combination. When I touch it now with 32 degrees, I can definitely feel the wool, but it doesn't bother me. It's not like the sock, it's not scratchy, it's a bit of like the hairy feel of it. I'm very curious to see if I can wear this thing, if it's finished, on my bare skin, or if I have to wear a shirt underneath it. In the last podcast, I was not sure what I'm going to cast on yet. I was not sure if I should cast on this yarn or the other one. I purchased at Ginger Knit Studio. Yes, that's the name, Ginger Knit Studio. I also purchased at Edinburgh. But with the autumnal weather, I was feeling like autumnal, and I was like, if it gets cold, if it's a bit of a colder autumn, I want a colorful, again, a bit of a mixture, like a colorful autumn garment. Yeah, I cast on this yarn and I really like how it's turning out. You can't see too much, unfortunately. I'm not very far into it, but I already love the colors. And I'm still not sure yet if the overall impression will be more of a bluish purplish one or a greenish yellow one, or if it will be rainbow colorful. I don't know. Very interesting yarn. I do alternate these skeins. Well, not the skeins, the balls of yarn. I caked it up. It's the first time I'm doing this, and it works out quite nicely. I can see why you do it, especially with the colorful yarn like this. But I started doing this after the short rows. Not sure you can see this, but this part here is much shorter than this part here. I have knitted a lot more rows on this part. I am knitting the Tolsta Tee pattern from the Creabea. Rebecca is the designer, but her YouTube channel is called Creabea knitting channel. Oh, again, I'm so bad with names. I will put it up here somewhere afterwards. It's too hot to think about names today. So I decided to go for the Tolsta Tee because the fingering weight Tolsta Tee needs only 600 and something meters. I have these two balls, which is 800 meters. So I'm trying to do a long sleeved one, and I'm ready to top it up with this yarn, which is the DMC Angel Baby Knitting Bamboo and Wool. 80% bamboo viscose, 20% wool. So it has a very similar feel than this wool. And it's the same thickness of yarn, it's a fingering weight, and the color I think is not too bad. Depends a bit on how this turns out. I intend with this to do some stripes at the bottom of the shirt and at the bottom of the sleeves, like, you know, the Abercan yarn, a stripe of this one, Abercan, like a bit of a stripy thing going on down there. We'll see if I even need it or not, or if I like it. I will see then how the Abercan yarn turned out. If it feels like already too yellow greenish and it doesn't fit with this one, then I have to go and see if I find another yarn if I need it. If not, even better. I'm also not sure yet if I do kind of 3/4 sleeves or, you know, a bit of a 7/8 sleeve, not too long sleeves, of course. I don't want overly long sleeves on this one. Yeah, I figure that out as I go. The pattern is wonderful so far. As you can see, I just skipped the ribbing. I just cast on the amount of stitches that is said or suggested in the pattern. It looks quite big, but of course I could always add a ribbing if it's too big, and I was afraid because it's superwash. I've never knit with superwash before, so I've heard that it can grow quite a bit. So I was scared that the neckline would be too floppy and too wide, so I cast on and I will decide what I do afterwards. I might do just an I-cord ribbing, an afterthought one. I really like those, and you can kind of tighten it a bit more and it cinches kind of in the neckline a bit. I always have to watch out that it's not too tight. As always, I'm a tight knitter, so I'm knitting this on 3.75 millimeters needle, which I had to order in the wood one. I didn't have them, I only had 3.5 and 4. Yeah, so far very happy with this. Not a thing I'm knitting on currently because of 32 degrees. And yeah, but we'll definitely go back to this. I'm looking forward to it. Have this raglan jumper, sweater, light fingering, colorful, and yeah, I'm just curious how this yarn turns out. I've never had this that I couldn't tell how a yarn would look in the end. It's kind of a surprise for me too, and it's very interesting. Yes, I have acquisitions. I have to admit, I lied to you in the last podcast. I said I would not buy any more yarn, except for the quantity for my dad's colorwork sweater. When I said this, I wasn't thinking about me going to Berlin for a weekend. So of course I bought some yarn. I don't need it, but hey, it's so nice and it's a nice memory, and I just think it's so lovely to wear something and to know I bought this yarn there, and you kind of connect to the memories of this nice holiday or place or a special occasion you had there. It's, yeah. But before we go to the yarn of Berlin, I have one more yarn I bought in Scotland. I sent a parcel, not a package, a parcel home from Scotland with some dirty laundry and this skein of yarn. I bought this in Plockton, so near Dorney, and it was in Plockton. There was a knitter's shop from all the women around Plockton who sold their hand knitted stuff. It was really lovely, and they had some skeins of yarns from hand dyers and hand spun yarn crafters from the region there. I was really happy to find it. Most of the yarn was way too itchy for me to be able to even touch it, but This one, it's rustic for me. The woman in the knitting shop said it will soften up a lot because it has a lot of spinning oil in it. I don't have too much experience with that, so I hope she's right, but I already know what I want to do with it. Let's go to this. This is, and I have no idea how to pronounce this, Shed. Shed is the second one, but the first one, don't ask me. Sorry. Handcrafted handspun. Ryland, I think, is the sort of sheep, and DK is the yarn thickness. But it's very different. It has kind of very thick and thin. Like if you can tell, there are very loosely spun parts in it and very tight spun parts in it. It's 100 grams, 155 meters. It was only 14 pounds. So I really like this kind of brown gray color. It looks grayer in the camera than it does in real life. It has a more of a brown tinge into it. So I want a kind of a double knitted hat. I'm not sure how to explain this. And I want to take a DK yarn that is very soft for the inside part. And as I always like flipping the brim, you can flip the brim, you don't have to, you can kind of choose how long you make it, and yeah, I will make it longer so I can flip the brim, so none of this yarn, if I don't want to, would touch my skin. I think the look will be very nice. It's very variegated and rustic looking, and I think it will be very good in keeping off the rain or the water or whatever, snow. So yeah, looking forward to knit with this, but that's definitely a winter yarn. It has to be cold, so I can knit with this. And now to my Berlin yarns. I only bought one skein, single skeins of sock yarn, because I want to knit a bit more socks. So the first one, I went to a shop which was called Yarn Over Berlin, and they had, from a dyer from Berlin, they had very nice yarn. And it's from, I kept the labels, Frida Fuchs, hand-dyed yarns from Berlin, and it's Remi Demi sock yarn, is it called? Color Honey, and I was very happy to see this. It's a 75% superwash blue-faced Leicester and 25% nylon, so it's actually also blue-faced Leicester. I haven't seen this before I went to Scotland. I've never seen a blue-faced Leicester yarn in Switzerland, so I was very happy to find another one. The color I would more describe as a sunflower yellow for me, but I loved the yellow one, and I still don't think that yellow is my color. I don't think it suits me very much, but as a sock, I'm looking forward to making these socks. And I chose the Minerva sock pattern from Sari Nordlund. Venicia from the Woolly Worker did those, and I've seen them on her, and I just fell in love with those socks, and I had to buy the pattern, and I really want to do this. And I don't think I will use all of it. It's 425 meters on 100 grams, so it's light fingering. It's really a lot of yarn. And I also bought a mini skein. They are called Mini Füchse. Also the same kind of yarn, and it's called Mitternacht, so midnight. And it's a really gorgeous color. And those two together, oh, I can already see it with the toe, heel and cuff with this blue, and the nice simple pattern with this yellow one in between for a second pair of socks. This will be very nice. Looking forward to this one. Then I went to another shop. They happened to be very close together, so I could convince my partner to go, like, one more knitting shop and it will be fine for the rest of the 4 days. And nice as he is, he agreed, and we went to the Knit Berlin shop, and I found two very cool sock yarns. One is Manos del Uruguay Alegría, superwash merino and polyamide, so 75% merino wool, 25% polyamide, and approximately 400 meters, 100 grams, and the colors. You know my heart goes for the autumn colors. Look at this. This is just autumn goodness in a yarn ball. It has all the lovely colors I love so much from autumn in it. So these will become very lovely autumn socks, and it's actually very soft even with 32 degrees. So I will be able to wear those on my bare feet. And in this shop I saw another one about Berlin and I thought it was just so fitting for the city and as a memory to the city. It's the Lana Grossa yarn, Cashmere City, and it's 70% wool, 25% polyamide and 5% cashmere. And I mostly can feel the wool, but I imagine I can also feel the cashmere. And I just loved the colors. I think it would be mostly white and green, but some of those purple and orange speckles in there. I think it's a self-striping yarn, but I love how it will look. I already know. So it's 100 grams. It's a sock yarn, needles 3 to 4, so it's a bit of a thicker sock yarn, 21 stitches. Is that a DK already or a sport weight? I'm not sure, but as I'm always knitting my socks with my Knit Pro 3mm DPN needles, this is perfect, and looking forward to knit up those socks too. So these were really all of my acquisitions, and I will really not buy any more yarn except for the ones I need for my dad's jumper. But I will not order these until autumn somewhere. I have no stress for this jumper to knit it. Either I will knit his jumper for Christmas, but I think it's a bit too soon for me to be able to do that. Or, which is more likely, is for his 60th birthday in April. As it's a winter jumper, it's a bit April, maybe he can wear it one more time, but he would have to keep it for the next winter then. So I think I will go for the 60th birthday and do it like January, February, that it is my January, February jumper knitting thing. But we'll see. I have a lot of plans, but they haven't changed much since the last video, so I really want to do the Goldwing from Jennifer Stingas first, after my Tolsta Tee sweater. I really want to go in with this colorwork sweater and do that one and have it ready for autumn winter to come. Yeah, and I have a lot of hats and mitts and stuff to do. So a lot of small things that are on my to-do list, and I'm looking forward to do them. So yeah, lots of plans. I'm looking forward to autumn knit-wise, but at the moment I'm really enjoying the summery temperatures, enjoying that I can wear my summer clothes. I didn't have too much opportunity to do so in this summer, so I will enjoy wearing my light, colorful summer clothes, enjoy the summer feeling in my garden, and yeah, just enjoy life. Thank you for joining the Knitting Eillets podcast again. Please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you want to my channel. You can find me on Ravelry as Eillets and on Instagram as knitting_Eillets. and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye!